Hey everyone! If you are like me, you really embraced the tie-dye trend this summer. A good amount of the things that I own now are tie-dyed. But here's the good thing. I used a kit for most of my projects, but you really don't have to. You can actually create the dye that you need to tie-dye using vegetables. So that's what I'm here to show you today. I'll be using spinach, red cabbage, and turmeric. Actually, you can use spices to do this, but you also can use beets if you're looking for that really beautiful red, pink, highly pigmented color. I'll show you what you need to put this project together. It's super easy, comes together in less than 10 minutes, I'd say, depending on how many vegetables you actually use, how many spices you use, but overall pretty easy. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so here's what you're going to need to start creating your natural dye. First and foremost, most importantly, your raw material. I'm using red cabbage that I've roughly chopped up. Don't need to be too precious with it since it's all going in a blender anyway. Also have spinach, and I have turmeric ready to go. You're definitely going to need a blender. You're definitely going to need a strainer and a bowl to strain your liquid into. Speaking of straining, you'll also want to have plenty of cheesecloth on hand. This prevents any of the natural fibers from going into the liquid and combining with that. We just want to extract the liquid to create our dye. You will also need a few measuring tools along the way. I have a liquid measure for our water, and then a cup and tablespoon and teaspoon for our raw materials. I also have salt, which acts as a preservative and extends the shelf life of the dye. So if you're looking to tie dye tomorrow, the day after that, that's helpful. And then last but not least, you will need a few condiment bottles to decant your dye into. Also good for this is to have a funnel on hand. This is dye. Even though it's natural, even though it's organic, it will stain your hands, it will stain your table, your tablecloth. I've also taken the extra step and labeled them just for fun. Up to you. Let's get started. Okay, so I have my kettle ready to go. You will want to wait until it's just off boiling. You don't want to be working with scalding water just before that. So first what you'll do is you will take your cup measure, and we're going to measure out 2 cups of raw material. I'm going to start with cabbage. I'm excited to see this red color first. So popping in 2 cups. Okay, and now I'm measuring out 2 cups of very hot water. That's 1, and that's 2. Now we're gonna put it all together and blend it up. Okay, so I've blended up my red cabbage and my water, and I'm ready to strain it into my bowl. Before I strain though, I just wanna make sure that I line my mesh strainer with some cheesecloth to prevent any of those leftover particles from getting into our final dye. Pour slowly, just a little bit at a time, and you can see everything that's left over. It's very purple, which is what we want. Just go little by little. After you're done straining, you just want to remove any of the particulate left over, and then you're ready for the next step. Now it's time to add salt to our dye, which will extend the shelf life of our liquid, which is fabulous because if you see how beautiful this purple color is, you know that for sure we want to have this dye around for a few days to get us through a few projects. So all you have to do is just add 1 tablespoon of salt and stir that all together. Your liquid is still hot, so it should dissolve easily. Just be careful as you're stirring. The water is very hot, so just tread carefully. When you're done with that, it's time to decant. So I'm gonna open one of my bottles, grab my funnel, and then I'm going to very carefully pour my dye into the container. And there we go, purple is done. Let's move on to green. The good news is the process for using spinach and creating green dye is exactly the same as creating a purple-red dye. 2 cups per 2 cups of water. Some rogue spinach here. And then 2 cups of water directly into the blender. Let's blend it up and strain. Same exact process as before. I actually rinsed out my cheesecloth just to make sure we didn't have too much color mixing happening. And I'm just taking my pureed spinach and water and just slowly and carefully draining it through the cheesecloth. Again, still pretty hot, so definitely be careful. Taking any residual and pressing it carefully with the tips of the cheesecloth just to make sure we're getting every last bit of liquid, which we definitely want. It's a really nice green color. I think it's really great for fall. So now we'll go ahead and add our tablespoon of salt. Mix that all together. And again, decant into our green tube. It looks so pretty. I think it's going to look really good paired with the pink and red, purple dye created by the red cabbage. All right, our green is done. Now it's time to move on to our golden yellow, which actually has a little bit of a different process. So let's walk through it. Still working within that 2-to-2 ratio, you'll add 2 tablespoons of turmeric into a bowl, and then add 2 cups of water as we did for the others. So pretty. Same as before. First I'm gonna give that a good stir before I add my salt. This is definitely want to make sure all of the turmeric is combined in the water. And adding our tablespoon of salt for preservation. Again, stirring completely. Such a beautiful gold. All that's left to do is store it. Now turmeric really does stain, so definitely be careful as you pour this one in. And there you have it. Now you are ready to start tie dyeing. We used spinach, red cabbage, and turmeric to create our dyes, but you really aren't limited to those 3 when it comes to making this project. Chances are you have something in your fridge already that can be utilized. So if you don't have red cabbage, maybe you have raspberries or strawberries. If you don't have turmeric, maybe you have carrots to recreate that golden, orangey, yellow color. It's really up to you. Use what you have, and you can definitely make it work. I so hope you enjoyed following along with me today. I had so much fun putting this together. I can't wait to see how you use your dyes. I'm thinking of transforming an old white t-shirt that I don't really use anymore and maybe making a few pairs of socks for my mom. I hope you'll share your final products with us and let me know what you think of the project. Thanks so much for tuning in.